Good afternoon. The word is underconfidence, and you won't find it anywhere in the dictionary. It doesn't exist, according to Webster's. And since I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia this afternoon, I thought I would start my talk on underconfidence by talking about the griffin. No, not that griffin. This griffin. There must be some people who know about roller coasters here. For those of you who don't, this is the Griffin. It's over at Busch Gardens, and it's the world's tallest, floorless, deep dive roller coaster. It combines everything I hate in roller coasters. Yeah, speed, turns, lack of control, you name it. If you ever see me near there, it's because my family they needed somebody to hold everything while they went and rode on it. As somebody who studies confidence, though, I love roller coasters. Nothing I know brings a confidence person to his knees faster than that click, click, click of the cars as you rise to the top. And what I particularly like about the Griffin is that you have to go up 20 stories into the air. It then takes a very sharp right turn. And I don't know what sick individual thought this was a good idea, but then they pause the car right at the end for 5 seconds. And just so you get a sense of that, that's a really long time to just sit there on the edge of this precipice before you fly down the track. Now, you don't see too many people interviewed at the top of a roller coaster, but if you did, what you would find is that the way they think is completely different from the way they were thinking back in line when they were waiting to get on the car. You know, we get in line, we're talking to each other, we're laughing, we're planning on what we're going to do, what rides we're going to go on, where we're going to eat. It's very inclusive. It's very social. It's very forward-looking. By the time we get up to the top of the roller coaster, though, the only thing we can think about is ourselves, the car around us, and whether we're going to live for the next 20 seconds or not. Yeah, all of that we stuff has been thrown out the door. Now, if you went to Webster's would say in those moments, we are unconfident. I would suggest that we're actually merely underconfident. We have less confidence than we should. We're afraid when, based on the raw data, there's really no reason to be afraid at all. And much like when we are overconfident and we underestimate risks, when we are underconfident, we overestimate risks. When we get to the top of a roller coaster, because of that phenomenon of underconfidence, all we really care about is me here now. And I think this is primal. This goes back to all of our survival instincts. The way we have been encoded, our brains take everything out of the way that gets in our way of our own immediate survival. When we're back in line and things are feeling pretty good, we're relaxed, it's more us everywhere forever. There's greater depth. And what you find is that as our confidence changes, it changes the nature of our relationships and the breadth of them. It changes our time horizons, our perspectives, and it changes our attitude physically. It's as if we are wearing these variable lens goggles that expand and protract based on our level of confidence. The fun thing with the roller coaster is that in the span of 5 minutes, you can go from being confident at the bottom to being underconfident to being probably even more confident at the bottom when you get back off. I mean, how many of you get off the roller coaster and go, wow, that was just scared the daylights out of me, let's go do it again, right? That's the fabulous cycle of confidence that the roller coaster generates. Real life isn't that kind. When our confidence falls, particularly for a long period of time, it's really hard for us to get back up. I'm a socionomist. I study how changes in social mood affect the decision making, and I look not at individual decision making, but at how groups of people make decisions. And one of the things as I look around our great country today is I see a lot of behaviors that suggest that America is really me here now. And one of the things that you'll see is that changes in confidence change our preferences, our decisions, and our actions. So let me give you some examples of what I mean by this. I see me here now and underconfidence in our political system, in the fracturing of our major political parties and the partisanship that exists in Washington, and the inability and unwillingness of our political leaders to agree on anything. Did you know that last year Congress passed just 55 bills? And to give you a sense of how small that is, in 2000 they passed over 400 bills. Economically, I see underconfidence in this very lackluster recovery, and that unemployment is stubbornly high, and that sales growth is anemic. Corporations, rather than enthusiastically investing in their business, they're buying back stock and laying off jobs. And look at the companies that have done well in this prolonged recession. Gun makers, pawn shops, home generator companies, payday lenders, companies whose entire business model is driven by the fear that underconfidence generates. And speaking of fear, just turn on your television, go to the movies, read a book. The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, The Following, Divergent, Hunger Games. This is a time culturally where dystopia rules. Now, this is going to seem like a funny connection to underconfidence, but these are Keurig cups. There are close to 250 different flavors that you can get at last check. And I think this is a fabulous example of me here now. You have to have your own variety. But think about what that says about us. We can't even share a pot of coffee anymore. And this isn't the only way that I see changes in confidence exhibited in food. The farm-to-table dining, the locavore movement, farmers markets, CSAs, all of those reflect underconfidence and me here now preferences. Same thing with microbreweries, microdistilleries, and the artisan bread baking craze. When we lack confidence, we want small, we want simple, and we want local. But appreciate what this means in terms of diet and exercise. When today matters more than tomorrow, we eat more and we exercise less. Is it any wonder that we have an obesity crisis and that Americans are their fattest in history? Or that binge eating and binge drinking are increasingly an issue, particularly on college campuses? And those aren't the only ways we're binging, right? Anybody here watch the second season of House of Cards in a weekend? Yeah, I see some hands going up. Or how about, a season of Breaking Bad? And let's admit it, okay? Candy Crush. Okay, how many hours have you spent playing Candy Crush? Now, as I say at home, facts are not judgments. We're all among friends. But the reality is we're all binging. And it's not just in what we do, it's this stuff too. It's all of our social media. I find it fascinating we call it social media. This is all about me here now. And this thing, it's the iPhone. Yeah, and my favorite, and I would ask you to pose, but the lighting is bad, selfie. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. Now, I wish that this were all good news, but unfortunately, what I also see is how underconfidence is dividing America. I see it in the secessionism activity that's going around across our country. I see it in the rising sense of income and education inequality, and in the division in the Boy Scouts even. America is coming apart. And it's not just having a toll here, it's having a toll abroad as well. This week, Pew reported that 52% of Americans believe that America should mind its own business internationally, that we should let other countries cope with their own issues. 11 years ago, that was just 30%. It's changing how we see ourselves in the world overall. But where I'm afraid it's taking its deepest toll is in our schools and in our homes. For many Americans, that top of the roller coaster anxiety of fear and uncertainty is their new normal, and they're paralyzed by it. And I don't think it's a surprise that as a result we're seeing deterioration in the academic performance of our students in the classroom, and that we're seeing violence and crime rising in our communities. A striking statistic to me was that in the month of January, on average, there was one school shooting every other day in America. If we are going to move America forward, we need to address this epidemic of underconfidence. And I say that because you can just look around the globe and see how underconfidence can quickly and easily turn into despair and hopelessness. You see that in Egypt, in Turkey, in Tunisia, in the Ukraine. And we need to do something here so that that doesn't happen. So I'd like to offer a few thoughts. First, underconfidence doesn't equal weakness, and it doesn't equal laziness. And I think that the way we talk about the long-term unemployed and those that are not succeeding in school, we're labeling what is really underconfidence as weakness and as weakness and laziness. And it's counterproductive, and it eliminates hope for those who are affected. But I would also note, recently I did a survey of high school students. I was looking for an event that would give me some insights into underconfidence. So I asked a group of students who had just taken their first driver's ed class. I think for many of us that was a moment of underconfidence. And I said to them, okay, while you were behind the wheel, what was it that you were most focused on? And I had sort of in my mind a list of things that included the road in front of them, the car coming the other direction. I thought, maybe the speedometer, the mirrors, things like that. Do you know what most of them said they were most focused on? Their instructor. What their instructor mattered more than just about anything else that they were focusing on behind the wheel for the first time. This person sitting next to them. When we are underconfident, we crave affirmation. And just imagine the power if those with confidence in our country today were out there coaching and mentoring those without it. And by affirming, I don't mean giving every kid on a baseball team a cheap plastic novelty trophy. The underconfident see right through that. The underconfident want to know that they're not invisible, that they matter, that they have potential, that their uncertainty is going to end. We need to help deliver that. And this is not a nice to do, because there are a lot of negative affirmers out there, particularly in moments like this. The strength of gangs is their power of inclusion and community for the underconfident. They prey on the underconfident's craving for, a sense of belonging, a sense of certainty, even if it's the wrong kind. So we need to remember that and offer alternatives. We also need to deliver programs that meet the underconfident where they are. If they're me here now, then the programs that we arrange for them, that we're targeting for them, need to match that. They need to be local rather than national. They need to have short-term goals as opposed to long-term objectives. You can't tell a child who's underperforming in school that if they do well, they'll get to college. That's an unrealistic goal in their mind. We want them to realize that if they do well today, they have a chance of doing better tomorrow. And we need our programs, to also recognize that this is an individual problem. It's hard to affirm in groups. Now, I was thinking of other moments where we're underconfident. Every person in this room has been new in some environment. New to a sports team, new to a business job, new to a college dorm. And I was thinking as I was driving in today that 35 years ago, I can remember my freshman year experience, and I can tell you the names of those individuals, those resident assistants, the people on my hall, the teachers, the mentors at the time who affirmed. They're invaluable to us when we lack confidence. I also wish that corporations would recognize their role in building confidence in America, and that they consider the impact of their actions in a broader perspective. For many Americans today, job security is a contradiction in terms, particularly as corporations have boosted profits through job eliminations and reductions in benefits. It was striking to me that USA Today reported that 50% of all employed Americans are concerned about their finances and their economic wherewithal. Finally, there's one more. It's not up there. Is our programs need to be simple. Complexity is the obstacle of the underconfident. Underconfidence impairs how we think. It makes it harder for us. And the underconfident don't have bandwidth to cope with complexity. I'd offer that while extraordinarily well-intentioned, the complexity of the Affordable Care Act underdid a lot of its good. It did very little to boost the confidence of the people that it was targeted most to. To those of you who are involved in situations that are aimed at boosting confidence, please keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. All of us know someone who is underconfident. We have a family member, a friend who is struggling, often due to no fault of their own. And so I hope today that my comments have helped reframe how we look at the long-term unemployed and people who are struggling in our community. As I said before, they're not weak and they're not lazy. They're struggling because of their sense of uncertainty. They are overestimating the risks and the concerns of the world around us. I would love to charge all of you and have you leave here excited to go forth and change the world in this space of underconfidence. But I also know that that's not realistic. So let me offer an alternative, because I believe this is. The next time you see someone who is underconfident, a family member, a friend, a business colleague, someone on the street, or even that person that you see every morning in the mirror, remind them they're at the top of the roller coaster. They're not invisible. They matter. They have potential. And yes, like the roller coaster ride, their uncertainty will end. I believe that if more of us do that and do it more, we can boost American confidence and move this great nation forward. Thank you very much.